Hey guys, Michael here. Hey, I wanted to go over like the three minds and I know in my video on for week 2 for actually today I just finished it and stuff that I'll be reviewing this, but I want to go into a bit more detail of the three minds since it's a very core thing to understand. All right, let me get right into it. Alright, we're going to go over the higher self first. Okay, and then we'll go down to the conscious self. And last but not least, the lower self. Now, each of these are very important. Alright, so the first one we're going to go over is the higher self. Alright, the higher self, it is the best way I can tell you how you understand it is the higher self is both your soul and your spirit. And it gives very good advice, wisdom. So, okay, I'll put this up to the side here. It's wise, gives wisdom, and it ultimately decides the path you're going to go down on eventually. And there may be some things where it's like the conscious part of yourself may not choose that, but you will eventually go on to it. You'll maybe just come back another time and fix it and do it. So, all right, ultimately decides lessons and destiny. Now, a little bit of on the higher self here is the higher self resides, as I said, both within the soul. So I'll draw a man here. Okay, neck's a little long, but anyways, I'll just draw this really quick. This is a very short man. Gosh. All right. The soul is just a piece of the actual full spirit. So the soul, and let's say the full spirit is way up here, but there's a cord that goes right through the crown and connects to the soul. And the soul is just a representation where it connects the entire body. The body is basically a vehicle in a way, and the chakras express themselves because of the soul and how it connects to each of them. So you can imagine the soul as just pretty much connects to the body, and you can imagine these little wires connecting to it, like coming out of the soul and connecting to each of the points, the chakras, and there you have it. It's you. Now, here's the thing with it. The soul gives a lot of your personality and who you are. It's like you. That's why we're going through this process of identity, and we're becoming very well acquainted with the soul. And I'll be getting into, for the next video, if you want to click here, and I'll leave this up in the corner right now. And I'll also put it at the end, so I'll put that at the end, and I'll point over here again. Now, something about this is we're becoming very, very in tune with it, and that's what we're going to be doing to help begin to merge these, but we're also beginning to merge these other parts. And I want you to understand what we're going to be doing with each of these parts here in this core video here. Now, the conscious self, that is, you're very familiar with it. It's our conscious mind. It's what we think. It's what we do. Everything controls movement. Breathe. And it's very, very conscious movement. But the conscious movement, it has a lot more to it than you think. The conscious movement actually, is in some ways, I'd like to express it, and I'll express it in the other video too, it's the captain of the ship. It's it decides what goes and everything else, and while the higher self is more like the cruise liner boss. And while the lower self is more like the crew and like the people in the engine room and such. And they all have to work together. But the captain decides everything that goes, keeps the body and keeps its sovereignty, and decides everything in that relation. And the reason these three don't usually line up is people aren't usually in alignment of like where they all agree. And that's why it's important to always keep yourself healthy, like some exercise, eat well, and such. And I'm going to go over a little bit on the diet right here. And I'll also do a little bit more on the diet on another core video here. Like, one thing you should know is like stimulants. And somebody asked me about this, I believe it was Valentina actually asked me about this one, that why is caffeine bad? You know, like there is some reasons, like you can use it just like you can with meat, but it's like depending on how much you want to intake. The thing with caffeine is it's a stimulant. And the thing with a stimulant is you are having it cycle through your body. You're having your body produce more energy than it needs to, and it's keeping your body in a state where it's producing a lot of energy, where you're pretty much revving up an engine when you're tired. And when you're tired like that, what it's doing is like your body hasn't recovered, so what you should be doing is making sure you're getting plenty of sleep, water, and nutrition, because all in all, you shouldn't need caffeine. You know, a little caffeine is good here and there, but you shouldn't need it continuously where you're having to get through your day. And the problem with that is it's like it's eating up that life force energy, because when you, like, best way to explain it, look at the presidents of the United States and those people that have a lot of stress in their lives. All that stress running through their body continually drains all their energy, and by the end they'll each have gray hair. Like, look at the presidents of the United States. Every time they come out of office, it's like they will have gray hair. Like President Obama, we came in, he looked very young, and now he's kind of grayed up quite a bit. So the thing is, it's like when you're having all that energy running through you, and it's like you're producing so much when it's like you don't have that available resource, what's happening is it's like you are revving up that energy so much and taking from your resources to where you are taking on life force, and you're eating away at your life's energy. Now, while this can be recovered, like over time, it's something that's a little difficult to get back. And that's why, for me, I always keep a store of energy in myself so I don't ever tap into something that far to where I have to take from my own life energy. And that keeps me very healthy and very happy. Now, enough on that. Let's get back to the conscious self and everything. The conscious self is very important for your sovereignty, your decisions, and everything else. It's pretty much who makes the decisions, how things are run. Now, for the lower self, that deals with a lot more of the emotional body, is part of the emotional body. It oversees it. Now, and the mental body and everything that you kind of remember, you feel, and the conscious mindset's part of that too. But the lower self, it holds a lot of that information, a lot more than you think, and some people become very out of tune with it. And the problem with that is like you're cutting off a whole piece of yourself that has a lot of energy and power. Like some people say that the emotions are very bad and you shouldn't have them. Well, think of it this way. It's like, for some people, it's like when they have like these very intimate moments with each other, or I'll be blunt, it's like they'll have a lot of fun together, and some of you that are older in the crowd know what I'm talking about. And you have these feelings come up through you, and they're very powerful and strong, and that is a bit of a taste of the power that's down there, and you can tap into that. And some people in psychology have called the lower self the id, and it's a lot more kind of like of that childlike self. but it has a lot of energy. So like when you start to communicate with the two of them, you can even like when you go inside yourself, I'll teach you guys how to do this. There's a little bit of dimensional shifting that goes on to where you can talk to the lower self. So what you do here is you go to here and like I want you to notice something with your hand, like form an energy ball, and I want you to notice with your subtle energy or even in your fingertips too, that there's a little slight vibration in your hand. That's actual vibration that you're feeling. And I've expressed this in some of my earlier videos. So what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to increase or decrease the vibration. So for this, we're going to move the vibration down a little bit. And I know for some people it's like, whoa, we're moving the vibration down. Vibration as a whole, like, has each of its uses, just like each dimension has its own uses. So we're moving it slightly down because it's like that's where it is and that's where it's settled down. It's like the higher self, it's up in a much higher dimension, and here we're down in here, and the lower self is just slightly lower, but it's in a deeper part of ourselves, and it still has its own unique high vibration when you actually get to know it. That just comes out a lot more. So, but the reason we're going a little lower is because we haven't really had the time to really go and respect it, talk to it, and get to know it. And how I usually see it, like up here when you're at the heart, it's kind of like almost like a golden bubble of light. So like you have the golden bubble of light down here, and when you move down and you kind of decrease the vibration a little bit, it kind of changes to white. And it kind of seems like the lower self seems to appear in that fashion for me. So like I actually had a bit of a conversation tonight where me and the lower self were talking. And if you guys are a little curious with this and what was going on, so there's the two of us talking. And you should really get to know the lower self. You can ask its name, what it is, and some people like can even have it's like what spirit animal is it? And they can really get to know it. Now the thing with the lower self is you really want to dialogue with it. And the reason you want to dialogue is it feels like you're more paying attention to it, because oftentimes a lot of people don't pay attention to the emotional aspect. And like this also will lead into shadow work with the emotional body and also the mental body. And the lower self oversees kind of all those processes, but you should still explore those with the conscious mind, because you're becoming more in tune with this mindset here, with that mind, and you're becoming much more integrated with it because you're actually paying attention to it. Now I realize this video is going on a little long, and if you guys do have any questions about the lower self, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them best I can. Alright, and the conscious self, I'll be explaining very detailed of what that is going to go on in the next video, and I'll put that up in the corner here. Okay, where is it? Right there. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful day, and I hope this clears a lot of things up from my first video. I know it was sometimes a little bit hard to follow, and I tried to do my best with the technical difficulties, but we got what we had to work with, and I'll be really trying to work with you guys on making sure I answer you guys' questions. Anyways, guys, have a great night. Like, subscribe if you want to see more. Have a great night.